Yeah, so part of the assessment phase is that they'll all do their Lumina pathway report, which is built on some parts of the spark and emotion, but overlaid with our 8 behaviours and attributes for high potentials and delivery. And we use that really not to kind of assess whether they should or shouldn't come on, but more to say, how would you like to develop? What would you like to focus on in this next 18 months? So it's an insightful tool for the individual to look at how they might prepare their next 18 months, what type of experiences and learnings they might want to get to help them grow. Is that a development area that they're low on? Is that a strength area that they want to embolden? But also we have 2 reports. So we have one for the individual for them to understand themselves. We have one that's very much similar, but the language used is aimed at supporting network around the individual. So it's for their line manager, for their mentors and their coaches to be able to take that report and say, okay, well, we know what this one says to the individual, but this one speaks to us on how might we support them, how might we try to develop them or challenge them, what type of things will they be interested in or lean towards, or what sort of things will make them run for the hills.
I see. To lead.
Yeah, and the great thing about the tool is that it's about the individual, and it speaks to the individual's needs and preferences. So we're not telling people this is how a leader should be. We're telling people we think that there are some qualities around here that would make a good leader, and this is what we're saying about your behaviours and qualities, and where do you want to go with that? Do you want to be, what type of leader do you want to be? But not necessarily saying you need to be going and doing X, Y, Z. It's a little bit more open, a little bit more driven by the individual aspirations or the individual's wants and needs. For a lot of these people, the graduates, the first time going through this, it's their first psychometric tool that they've gone through. A lot of our other managers have done your insights and they've done bail bins and other things and bits and pieces like that before, but for them it's their first foray into it, and a lot of them have loved it. There's been some people that have kind of rallied against it or changed it in terms of how they want to use it or how they want to approach it, but regardless of whether they buy into it or not, it stimulates a constructive conversation about that individual. So they might really, really love it and buy into it and have a lot of good developmental conversations through it, which is great. And they might think, well, actually, I don't really agree with it. But actually, they're still having to assess that, and they're still having to discuss that with their line managers and have that internal monologue of going, do I agree with it? Don't I agree with it? Perhaps I don't, but I've actually had to think about it now. So it's been really constructive.